So this is a Truma heating and hot water system that has the black control panel here. Now the control panel is very simple and easy to use. As you can see, there is a main display, and this black line is a permanent feature. It's supposed to be there. And then we have a back button here, and then we have a rotary encoder, which is a twistable dial, with a push button function as well. Now, before I boot the system up, I just want to show you that, or explain to you that the black line here is basically the divide. Anything that we see above the line is going to be the system telling us what's happening, the current state of the system. So what we've turned on, what settings we may have chosen, and so on. So at a glance, you can look at this panel, read what's on above the line, and tell what state the system is in. And then below that line is where you'll see the things that we typically interact with. So let's turn the system on. So I'm going to turn the camera light off, and all we do is press and hold the button in, and you will see this screen. This is the main screen. Okay, so as you can see at the moment, because nothing is turned on, there is nothing above the line. Now we have these four buttons here, and oh look, what's happened? Don't worry, this is normal. The Truma panel has a very, very short inactivity timer, and as you've seen, it doesn't take long for it to time out to this screen where we see the clock, and after an equally short period of time from showing you this screen, the backlight will then also turn out as well. So you will find throughout this demonstration that I often run out of time and I have to go back in, but all you do is just press the button and you're back into the screen. So these four icons here are your main or the main things that you will interact with. We also have a symbol down the bottom here. This allows you to go in and set a timer. This one here allows you to set the time, which I'm going to do now. So you just press the button to confirm to go into that option, and then we have the ability to choose the time. So now I've got the hours selected, so I'll just use the dial here to select that, and believe it or not, the minutes are exactly right. So I'm going to press to confirm that, and we're done. And when this times out to the inactivity timer, you will see the clock showing that new adjusted time. Simple as that. Now we also have, there you go, as you can see there, we also have a spanner symbol here. This allows you to go in and change some basic settings. And this plug icon here is to show you that the system recognises we're plugged into mains electric, and it is detecting that mains electric supply, which is important. Now, before I show you how to actually start things up and get things working, some of the later software versions of this system seem to have an issue, or a quirk, should I say, that requires that the energy source be selected prior to turning something on, which has been normal operation for some time now, but also that that energy source is available. So let's say, for example, I assumed I was plugged into mains electric, or let's say I assumed the supply was turned on at the point where I was plugged into on site, but it wasn't, and this symbol wasn't actually here, and I was then to choose mains electric as an energy source. This system would try and look for that mains electric supply, fail to do so, and what they tend to do now is to bring up an error. So you'll see a little warning triangle will appear down in this space down here, and that error will then lock out this panel for about 15 minutes, meaning you can't do anything with it until that timer has reset. It's infuriating. We've noticed a couple of vehicles have this quirk now, so what I would recommend, whenever you go to operate this, when you know you want to turn on your heating or hot water, and you know what system you're going to want to use or what energy source, so for example gas or mains electric, make sure that for mains electric you see this plug icon here, and if you don't, troubleshoot and do not use mains electric with this until you get that plug icon showing. And with gas, again, make sure your gas supply is on, working, or your isolators are open. And what I would even recommend doing is ensuring there's no airlocks by using your cooker hob there with the big burners to pull any significant airlocks through, and also testing if you can light your fridge on gas. If you can light the fridge on gas, that tiny burner being able to light is a good indication that this should be able to light too, because we have found that, for example, with gas, if we were to choose gas but an airlock prevented the gas from firing the system properly, then this would also kick up that same error, and it again can be infuriating. So by following those procedures, making sure you've got the plug here, and also making sure that things are working on gas fine, means that you shouldn't have any energy source issues with this system. So that said, let's now show you how to do things. So the 4 icons we have here, going from left to right, we have your space heating, we then have your water heating, we have your all-important energy selection here, and then we have fan settings. Now, the fan is only used, primarily at least, when you have a heating setting turned on. So when your heating is on, your fan is used to then blow that warm air into your motorhome. And as such, you will have the ability to change the performance of that fan when you have a heating setting enabled. Now, without anything on, if we go over to the fan, we have off, and I'm just pressing the button in, by the way, to confirm selections, and I turn to the right there. You can see it says vent now, and if I click the button in on vent, I can choose a number between 1 and 10 and confirm that, and now we have a recirculation symbol above our line. So that's telling us that the air is circulating. It's not being heated, it's not being cooled, but the fan is now going to circulate ambient air, which can be handy or useful on a hot still day, or maybe when the vehicle is in storage and you want to keep the air moving inside the vehicle potentially. And it's as simple as that. Now, this option is only available when you are not operating heating or hot water. You'll also notice on the timeout screen the clock will change with the chosen fan setting there of 7 out of 10 that I chose. So it's going to alternate, so we can see that we're recirculating air, and in a moment I can see that that's at fan setting 7. And to turn that off, we just go to the fan and select from vent to off, confirm, and there we go, and it's disappeared from above the line and the fan will shut off. So how do we operate heating and hot water, the primary functions? Well, first thing, as I mentioned, we're going to choose our energy source. We have options of gas, which is symbolised by a gas bottle there. We have high power electric, symbolised by the 2 lightning bolts. We also have low power electric, indicated by the single lightning bolt just there. And then we have mixtures of either gas with high power or low power electric. Now, these settings will be typically used when you want to get things hot very quickly, and then you'll typically switch to either gas on its own or electric on its own to maintain whatever temperature you've achieved afterwards. Now, important note, again pertaining to that particular error and quirk, it's important that if you use a mixture setting that you know that both of these energy sources are available, as mentioned. Well, I'm going to choose high power electric in this instance, and I'm going to confirm my selection by pressing the button in. Now, you'll notice nothing has changed on this screen, and that's because I haven't actually turned anything on. All I've done is chosen the energy source that will be used when we do turn something on. So let's do that now. I'm going to turn the hot water, no, let's turn the heating on first. So I've got the heating selected, so I'm going to press the button in, and we have off, but if I turn the dial, we can now choose a temperature. I'm just going to set it to maximum for this demonstration. You can see we get a flame symbol appear here as well. I'm going to click that in, and now look what's happened. We've got a flame symbol appeared above the heating icon. Above the energy selection, you can see our chosen option of high power electric there with the 2 lightning bolts. And above the fan, you can see we have a fan icon with 1 blade coloured in. And on the timeout screen, those symbols persist. So again, at a glance, we can easily see the state of the system. And you'll also notice the timeout screen alternating between the clock and the chosen thermostat setting this time. So I can very easily see that we have the heating on, high power electric, a fan mode, which I'll cover in a moment, and the chosen thermostat setting of 30 degrees. Now, the heating icon is flashing. Why is that? Well, it's not a problem, so don't worry, that doesn't mean there's an issue. It's just telling you that the system is on, but it's warming up. So once the flashing has stopped, it's reached its desired temperature. Now, because we are using a heating setting, I can go to the fan settings here, and I can press the button in, and I can choose between eco or high, as you can see, and you can see the different blades colouring in on the icon up there. So I can choose how intense I want that fan to be, which is very, very handy. So that's how you turn on your heating. Very, very simple. and it's pretty much all there is to it. Now on the timeout screen you can just turn the dial here to change your thermostat setting without having to go into any of your options. Okay, so as you can see we're on the timeout screen. I've chosen 30, so we'll let that time out in a second. I won't touch anything. There we go. And now it's going to alternate between that and the clock again like before. And all I need to do, say for example I want to drop that down, I can just turn the dial. I don't have to physically click the button. You know, I don't have to go in, go to heating, you know, change the temperature that way. I can just do it just by turning the dial. So that's a very handy quality of life feature there. Now I'm going to turn the heating off. And all we do is just turn it all the way down till it says off, click the button in, and hey presto, everything is off. Let's turn on your hot water now. So there it is, select the hot water, press the button, we get off, eco, which is typically about 40 degrees, hot, which is typically about 60 degrees, and then we have boost, which will get things to hot very, very quickly. So I'm going to choose it to hot and press the button in, and like the heating, you can see the symbol has appeared above the hot water there. The energy selection we're using has also appeared, and there we go. So at a glance again we can see we have the hot water on, it's turned on to the hot setting, and we're using high power electric. And there you go, just like the heating, you can see that the hot water is now flashing, indicating it's warming up. Now unlike the heating, you can't, with the hot water on only, you can't do anything with the dial here and change any settings. But if I was to turn the heating on simultaneously with the hot water, that's what it looks like when all of it's on. By the way, in case you were wondering, you can't use a separate energy source for each of these. So you can't run your heating on gas but your hot water on mains electric, for example. They have to share the same energy source. But here we go, so you can see both heating and hot water are on, and I can now, because the heating is on, I can change the thermostat with the rotary encoder very easily on the main timeout screen without having to physically go in. Now that's basically it. That's all there is to it. To turn off your heating, all we do is, like I say, as you've seen before, twist that to off, and it's the same with your hot water. Just twist it down to off, click the button, and when you see nothing in the line, or nothing above the line should I say, that means your heating and hot water and your fan are all off. Okay, the only thing that's left on is the panel itself, what we've been touching and playing around with. So if you wish to turn this off too, just press and hold the rotary encoder in until you see the word off, like that. And then after a period of time, as you've just seen, that will then disappear. Now the amount of time the word off remains on screen for can vary, and it depends typically on the amount of activity the system has had prior to shutting down. It's important to know that the system hasn't fully shut down until the words off disappears. Okay, hence the ellipsis after the word off. It's telling you that it's turning off. But once you see a blank screen like this, the system has indeed shut down. And if you were packing down your motorhome, at this stage it's good to then turn off your power. But if the word off is still showing and you kill the power, then you're likely going to prevent this having a clean shutdown. And if you were resetting this and the power source in order to clear error codes, which can be a process of troubleshooting, it wouldn't have actually shut down properly. So just wait for the words off to fully disappear before you kill power to your motorhome. That's it. That's the Truma heating and hot water system that uses this style panel. And of course, if you have any questions, just let us know when you collect your vehicle on your handover, or just send us an email or phone call.